Hey everyone, I'm King of Valence. Thanks for watching this Spore speedrun challenge. This is Civilization stage, doing Economic on hard difficulty in 12 minutes and 7 seconds. Here are the custom vehicles we'll be using in this run. We'll be using a fast boat and tank, and a high economic power boat and tank. We're using the normal speedrun procedure, so this creature we'll be using will also not have any consequence traits going into this run. As we start out Civilization stage, it's important to snag as many of the Spice Geysers as possible. On hard difficulty, Spore allows us one free move, so that's either capturing a Spice Geyser, buying another tank, placing buildings, running into a tribe. You get one free move, so we're going to try to capture a Spice Geyser that's really close to other cities, and then we'll move out to the remote ones. That way they can't capture the Spice Geysers before we do. So once we capture the Spice Geyser, other cities are going to start spawning in, so I'm going to buy additional tanks to help capture the remaining Spice Geysers. It's important to capture the land ones first, in my opinion, and then we'll move on to the ocean geysers, because we might only be able to get 2 or 3 of those. Thankfully, the other tanks the other cities have chosen are much slower than mine. So now we can move on to the water Spice Geysers. I'm also checking to make sure I'm not going to drive right through epics, because they will shoot you down. So just kind of be aware that epics are kind of random, but they're in kind of generally the same area each time. So I'm just making sure that if there are, I'm going to drive them around. Looks like at the very top you saw that there was a big 0, so someone just got shot down. Thankfully it wasn't one of my vehicles. So now we're going to place some buildings. There's always 11 buildings in the city planner, but their arrangement is different. So there's like 6 or so I tried memorizing them all so I could easily identify which configuration I got in this run and place the buildings down very quickly to make sure I wasn't losing any time figuring what the most optimal rearrangement of them were so I can make the most money. So we're just cleaning up whatever tribes we can for some bonus money. If we get any other vehicles, we'll just sell them, because we're only going to be economic, so we won't need the other vehicles. So as soon as we get more money, we're going to place more of the buildings. So that's good for the entertainments. There's 2 on the right. For this particular configuration, we'll keep enough happiness. Looks like that boat is ignoring that open Spice Geyser, so we are going to take it. We get all 6 Spice Geysers on the continent, and we get 3 in the water. Looks like our home city is almost complete. We'll get as much money as I think I can with this arrangement. And it looks like Red is about to capture its first city, so they're already on the board. So we're going to compliment them to make us not at war with them. So they're just going to hang out for a little bit. So now we're going to check up on the rest of the world. Now that we kind of got our situation stabilized, we can see how's the rest of the world doing. Because we're going to have to interact with the other cities in order to ally with them, or at least become blue happy face with them in order to trade route and buy their cities. Our goal is to buy 5 other cities, which will unlock the global merger so we can beat the level with the superpower at the end. So we want to minimize the amount of interactions we need so we don't have to spend so much money making everyone happy with us. So we'll see who's doing the best, who's capturing the most cities, then befriend them, and then buy their cities, and that should bring us up to 6, and that should win the stage. The less cities you need to interact with, the less money you have to give them. I'm looking at Red here. I think I'm going to go with Red, because they're doing pretty fast. Don't quite have enough money to trade them yet, but $2,000 more, yeah, that should be good. That should make them blue, and I'm going to quickly get the trade route rolling as fast as I can. Because they have to be blue in order to accept the trade route. But once they're trading with you, they won't cut you off, even if they go back down to yellow. So now that we got one of their cities, we're going to start trade routing, and it looks like Brown is doing pretty good, so we're going to trade route with them as well. So I've chosen Brown to also be our friends, and I'll be giving them enough money to also make them blue happy face with us, and then we'll begin trade routing with them. Brown on their continent has 3 available cities. They got the 2 browns, it looks like Lavender's still there, so that's 3, and then the 2 red, that's the 5. That's basically the goal. I'm going to buy those cities, save enough money for the global merger, and that should win the stage. Thankfully, Brown now has accepted the trade route, so now I'm saving up a little bit more money so I can buy a couple more boats and then continue the trading with that Brown city. So I'm just going to allow these guys to trade for a little bit and get the boats ready to go trade with Brown as soon as I can get them rolling. And as long as red's still happy with me, I'm going to have them also trade with the big city, just to get as many trade routes as possible. And it looks like this is where the shady backdoor dealings are going on. Brown wants me to cut off trade with red, but I'm telling Brown no can do. So I'm going to have to give Brown more money now that I denied Brown the request. Crimson on the far continent also wants money, so we'll just give it to them. It's better than going to war, I guess. Even though we're not going to be trading with Crimson, it's still best to be neutral with them. And those demands actually do still count for gifts, so that's helpful. So remember, we already established the trade route with Brown, so even though they went down into the yellow neutral phase, we can still trade with them because they already agree with the trade route. So just like when we were playing as religious or military, we can switch the vehicles right as they arrive. So we're going to go from fast to the high power economic, so as soon as they arrive they can trade, and now we can trade a lot at a time because now they're super slow. So we can basically get a trade route immediately finished. Looks like red's pretty happy with us because we've been trading. Brown needs a little bit more encouragement in order to let us trade. I'm going to do the same with the tanks. These ones have been going for a pretty long time because they were so fast, they had so little economic power, but I'm going to switch them so they can be high economic power. Now that this city has completed its trade routes, I'm going to send all the tanks to trade with the big red city. And then I'll switch the tanks back to fast tanks so they can quickly get back to the big red city. Just kind of checking up on the other cities, make sure they're not going to be a worry. Brown's accepted. So I'm going to switch the boats back to fast so they can at least get the trade going, and then we'll switch them once they arrive. So as soon as the land vehicles arrive, I'm going to switch them to the high economic power and trade almost immediately with just 2. And then trade them back to fast and then continue the cycle. So this city is ready to be bought anytime. Looks like Brown is really taking a really long time to capture its third, but that doesn't matter. They're already happy with us. Red and green are kind of taking care of themselves. That's not a worry. Don't need to worry about them. They're not part of our plan. Whatever happens to green doesn't matter with what our strategy is. So each city can be bought for 16,000. So I don't really have enough money to buy any cities yet. And as soon as I start buying cities, the other nations are going to be upset because I'm going to be too big and they're going to see me as a threat. So I might want to try to buy all of them at once. Crimson conquered everyone on their home continent, which is a little scary because now they're going to move on to the rest of the world as they become a more global superpower. Thankfully, red and green are kind of occupying themselves, so they're not really interacting with anyone else, and brown is also taking a very long time to try to capture lavender, so they're also not really becoming a global entity. Crimson is actually the biggest threat right now, as they might disrupt my plans with brown and red. Okay, so my strategy here is I'm going to actually buy out brown right now. I actually want brown eliminated from the board, because I want to be able to trade with this small city that once brown owns it. But once I buy a city, brown's going to be unhappy with me, because they're going to see me as a threat. So I won't actually be able to trade with that small city once I'm able to actually move on to the continent. So if I buy out brown and eliminate them, I can actually trade with lavender because they're a small city and they always want to trade with me. So eliminating brown right away allows me to trade with this small city without having to pay brown, if they had captured it, more money in order to re-get them to the blue smiley face. So that saved me a little trouble by buying brown a little early. And now we're actually starting to make more money because we have a lot more cities. I'm going to actually rearrange their cities because the AI does actually a very terrible job at doing the city planner. It's cost a little bit of time, but that's fine. I'll get lots of money from this rearrangement. Like 4,000. Yeah, 4,000 and smiley face. And they're celebrating, so I'm getting much more money than if I just left the city as it was from the AI. So I'm going to trade with little lavender here. And as soon as they arrive, I'll switch to the high economic city, high economic power vehicles. And that should be easy trade route. And it looks like the red cities are good to go. So I'm going to buy the large city. Before I buy red, I just wanted to double check on how red and green's doing. Red still has another city, so if I buy this city, red will still be able to attack green for me. I'm going to buy the large red city because that's going to make me the most money. Because they all cost 16,000, so I might as well buy the biggest city in order to produce more money. So now I'm making about 18,000 or so. I'm going to fix the city planner for the AI because it was originally a religious city, so converting it into this economic configuration kind of broke the connections, so fixing up a little bit so make more money. And we didn't even need to interact with Crimson, so Crimson's like really mad. They have the red mad face, but that doesn't matter because we'll be able to global merger them and they won't be able to do anything to us. So as long as we can win before they kind of take over any of our cities, if they plan to, then we're golden. And it looks like Crimson is on the move. They are going to attack one of my cities. And they're 87. That costs way too much money to make them neutral. So I'm going to actually have to finish the stage before they take over that city, because you need 6 cities in order to buy the global merger. So if they take down that city, not only would I have to rebuy another city, that's just going to cost a lot more money. So it'd be easier if I just can buy the global merger soon before they take over that city. So I'm going to buy Lavender for their 16. I need one more city, and I need 48,000. Some of this stuff I'm just going to have to live with. It looks like red took over green, so green's eliminated, so I don't have to worry about that small tank. I'm only a little worried about crimson here. There is enough money for me to buy the 6th city. So we have the 6th city. Now all it takes is 48,000 to buy the global merger. So as long as they don't capture this first, I'm selling everything I got to make sure see how much money I got. And I think I have enough if I just sell all the buildings I have. Doesn't matter how many buildings I have, as long as I have all the cities, that's the victory for this stage. So I'm going to sell everything to get to 48,000 because they are pretty close to taking over that city. I noticed this is the city they're conquering, so I'm going to leave that one alone. But I'm going to sell the buildings of all the other cities to try to get up to 48,000. There's basically hit or miss here. Either I get the 48,000 or I don't have to reset. So hopefully I get the 48,000 to win, and it looks like I do, and I buy the global merger, and Crimson's plans have been foiled. I'm going to put another entertainment just so they don't conquer it, because they can conquer me after I bought the global merger, and they will actually survive the global merger. That is possible. But that is basically it. We just have to wait for the global merger to buy all the cities, and time will end right as you see blue arrows on the progress bar. And that's civilization stage done with only economic cities. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoy these Spore challenges, and I think civilization stage on economic is a really good challenge, and it was really fun to route, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching.